Raj Kotecha is with us today. He is the founder of My Friends, Your Friends. He's the CEO of creative content agency. Raj, how are you?
I'm really well. Thank you for having me.
I'm so interested by people that choose to solve problems. Loneliness is being described as an epidemic. From what you see on the ground, how real is that problem, especially for expats in Dubai?
The best way I would describe it is I was in Toronto a few years ago, and I ended up in a conversation with the mayor of Toronto, and we ended up talking about what we were working on. And I told him about My Friends, Your Friends in Dubai. And he said, oh, we need that in Toronto. And I was like, absolutely not. Toronto is just vibrant and diverse, and there's always things going on. Why would you need something that helps people make friends? And he said, because people come from all around Canada and the US to Toronto. They end up getting great jobs. They eat great sushi. They go out, but they end up going back to their one-bedroom studio or their one-bedroom apartment. Mm-hmm. So they end up retiring into these towers, and that's where they feel like the majority of their relationships or connections happening just through the phone. He said, if you can bring it here, then it will actually help people make friends on the ground in real life. And that's what made me realize that actually it's not necessarily the nature or the environment of the place that we're in, but sometimes it's just some of the norms of how we live our lives in the modern world that keep us connected, but also isolated.
Super siloed. And I think, we were talking a lot about burnout and overwhelm and how much we give to our jobs. And actually, by the time we get home after a long drive, that tank is empty. Our social battery is dead. And the idea then of, getting the courage, putting on a nice outfit, putting your best face forward is actually really tiring. The irony is then, if you don't do that, you can't replenish that social battery and you can't make those meaningful connections. What are the barriers that you've identified with adults when it comes to making connections, making friends, especially, once we get into our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s? Because when we're kids, it's like, oh, if we're the same age and we're like playing football or we're like the same toys, then we're mates. It changes.
I think a lot of people put too much pressure on themselves as to what they want to get out of something. And one of the magic dynamics that you have to see to experience inside My Friends, Your Friends is the complete lack of expectations. So when people are walking in, we say to people, talk to anybody, let anybody talk to you. That in many ways is the perfect kind of like social contract, is that if someone talks to you, be open to talking to them. And if you feel like you want to walk into a crowd of people and talk to them, please do the same. And that's kind of like almost like pre-approved both ways. The next thing is having some sort of expectations. So for about 90 seconds or so, I will just jump on the mic in whichever venue we're at. And we've done, this is our 21st My Friends, Your Friends. I will jump on there and say, hey, listen, if it's your first time, make some noise. Obviously about half the room does. And then because half the room, it's their first time. And I say, listen, this event is not about dating. It's not about biz dev. It's not that these things don't happen because you've got, 500 ambitious people in a room together, but really just come here with no expectations. The vibe is like as if you've come to a housewarming party and you just bump into somebody new in the kitchen. And I think once you set that precedence, it removes all the pressure from the people in the room.
I think avoiding those labels is actually a bit of the secret sauce. It's not about dating or networking. That distinction, I think, is really, really important. Take us back to that first night then. So tomorrow night's going to be the 21st. You started this back in 2017. What did that look like?
So the original beginning of all this was, there was a period of time like now where I was living half between London and Dubai. And every time I used to go back to London, because I had momentum in a bunch of different industries, DJing, technology, entrepreneurship, when I went to London, people would say, can we meet, can we catch up? And it got to the stage whereby there were so many of those things backed up that I couldn't actually go to my parents' house and eat curry and do all the regular guy
so
stuff,
you
right?
were like, listen, friends, I'm going to be in this place if you want to see me.
Correct. So I was in King's Cross. So anybody who's been to London knows that every train line runs through King's Cross. I just grabbed a bar there, went onto Facebook at the time and said, if you want to come hang out with me and meet my friends as well, because everybody wants to meet, a lawyer or a physician or whatever, come here. So 85 people showed up. That was in 2015. In 2017, when I really committed to Dubai, I was like, hang on, if 85 people will show up for me in London to hang out, what if I had co-hosts and I wasn't just the only one hosting the party? So I got about a dozen people together in a bar in DIFC. They brought their friends. Again, over 80 people showed up. We did it a second time in another place with different co-hosts, a third time in another place with different co-hosts. By the 10th event, we were in the Burj Khalifa, 500 people. It's not corporate sponsored. It's not business. There's no agenda. And so it's been completely organic. And I think it could have only happened in an ambitious place like Dubai where people are really willing to connect and help each other.
Where I think there's also a really important point of difference is the accessibility. It's not like a price point. There's no barrier of entry when it comes to cost. Why was that important, Raj?
I think if I'm being honest and vulnerable about this answer, I think everybody has a gift in life. Because I've been able to be successful in business and music and a bunch of different industries, I've picked up a lot of friends along the way. I've also met people that have found it more difficult to build up friends and networks. So I felt if I'm ever going to give anything back to society or maybe be known for something after I'm gone, it's somebody who is able to take his gift, which is this privilege of being able to have such deep friendships and networks across the world, and give it to people that don't have that. And so for me, as you rightly said, it was always been important that there's no cost on the door. In fact, the event is as open to the public as it is to our community. First drink's on us. And then there's like a happy hour the rest of the night. So we try to make it as frictionless as possible.
You have said that this is something that's made for Dubai, not taken from the city. I think that mindset's really, really interesting because that talks a lot about your purpose and your legacy.
Yeah, I think the number one unlock for people that want to be successful in Dubai, and this is as sure as night follows day, is that a lot of people come to Dubai, especially now, to take from Dubai because the appeal here is so great. Sunshine, no crime, no taxes. But the people that are really successful in this city, and I would count myself as one of those fortunate people, are the people that make for Dubai rather than take from Dubai. And my friends, your friends, was something that I wanted to make for the city, to make the city a better place to live, and even address those barriers to friendships.
Raj Kotecha is in the studio today. If you want to send me the word friend, with your permission, Raj, can I send the details for My Friends, Your Friends?
Yeah, myfriendsyourfriends.com.
Okay, there you go. 4001. Send me the word friend. I'll send you the link. You're going to have to be quick because I think it was registration closing for tomorrow night.
Pretty quick. We're about 800 already.
Crikey. We're going to talk about social anxiety, about how to get the most out of events like this. We've got founder Raj Kotecha with us today. He is the man behind My Friends, Your Friends. They're having their 21st event tomorrow night. You'll need to register quick, though. And we're talking about why traditional networking kind of often fails. And really, Raj, to my mind, why authenticity matters more than structure. Your events have no agenda, no name badges, no talks. And I wondered a little bit about how to get the most out of it. If anyone's listening to this going, I do want to meet people. I am feeling lonely. My friends have left, or I'm new to town, but I'm afraid to step over the threshold. What advice do you give to any first timers?
I'd say when you come to My Friends, Your Friends, the most important thing is be open-minded and understand that you are going to be basically meeting the whole of Dubai in one night. So when you look at the co-hosts that we've got coming down that are bringing their friends down, we've got everyone from designers to doctors to DJs to AI data center specialists. You're going to have a wide range of people. You might not necessarily have a massive overlap with everybody, but the opportunity to at least build that connection and listen to their story and where they're coming from, I think is a really good way to get the most out of the event because you actually leave knowing what's going on in the city around you. Number two, as I mentioned in the previous segment, is be open to talking to anybody and let anyone talk to you. Once you've got that kind of like two-way open communication, that's going to be something that's going to serve you super well. Third thing is also just get stuck in the sense that if you meet somebody who you think might not necessarily be somebody who you've got an inherent connection with, but you enjoyed the conversation, and 15 minutes later you're talking to somebody else, then connect those two people up because that could be the serendipity, the kind of good luck karma that you're putting out that could then end up coming back to you later in the night. So I think these are some of the things that you can do to get the most out of the night.
We've had a message here from Nana saying, sounds amazing, but how do you follow up with someone you connected with without making it weird?
I think it's a great question, Nana. The best way to do that is to remember what it was that gave you that connection with that person in the first place. So typically, when you've exchanged details with people, you basically said, here's my information, let me take yours. Now, that's based on something. It's typically not going to be based on the fact that you both met at that exact point or you're both guys or whatever it is. There might have been some sort of interest in between. And once you say, hey, listen, you know, we spoke about this paddle. Did you know that there's this charity competition coming up, or there's this kind of like a t-shirt store that's doing like a special on this?
Yeah, I read this article and thought of you, or I remember you said that you love ramen, and have you tried XYZ?
Exactly, yeah. So if the interest or whatever it is that created the bond, let that be the gateway to building on that bond.
Authenticity. It's a word that we're hearing a lot. You are really passionate about this in terms of podcasting, in terms of the agency work that you do, and of course through the real life connections that you facilitate with My Friends, Your Friends. What do you think that actually looks like when people connect well at these events? Because I hear the irony, given that I'm on national radio right now, but I get a lot of social anxiety. I, tomorrow night, will probably be having to give myself a pep talk in the lift. And I think then it becomes a bit of a performance of saying the things that you think people want to hear, or saying things that you think present yourself in a good light, which can work short term,
Yeah.
but doesn't always lead to the most meaningful connection. So when we're thinking about authenticity in social situations like that, what advice would you give there?
I think when it comes to authenticity, it's important that you show up as your future self, not your fake self. Which is that if you know that there's a chance for you to have an ongoing dialogue with somebody, an ongoing relationship with somebody, think about what that might look like in 90 days' time or 120 days' time, and show up as that person. So don't lean into something and say that you're interested in it just because the moment, dictates that. But truthfully say, these are the things that I'm genuinely interested in. These are the things I'm trying to find more about. And in a city like Dubai as well, where you see so many impressive people, sometimes the temptation can be there if you're not kind of used to building relationships to say that you agree with things or that you know about things that you don't necessarily know about in any kind of detail. And the thing about showing up as your authentic self is when you all lay it on the line, you actually don't realize that the other person respects it more. So I've done so well in life. Obviously, I've had a lot of media coverage in my life to speak about the things that I know about, but I'm just as keen in any situation, whether it be at My Friends, Your Friends, or on national radio or TV, to be like, I don't know the answer to that. And maybe we can go on a journey together to figure that out for the good of yourself, myself, or maybe the people that we serve.
That humility, it is absolutely crucial. But I do think that's something as we get older to have the bravery to go, I actually don't know, or I don't know enough about that to have an opinion, but what's your take? And often that can lead to some really interesting places. Oh, we haven't come to the message about not having the energy to socialise. So Anonymous, we are going to come to that in just a few minutes. In the studio today, ahead of tomorrow night, My Friends, Your Friends at Media One. Raj Kotecha is in the studio. If you want to send me the word friend, I'll happily send you the details. As I said, I am going to be there. So if you're there with a friendly face, I would definitely appreciate it. Happy to send you the details. As we said, welcome drink is on Raj. It's really interesting because when we think about loneliness, immediately my brain thinks about the elderly, but actually the data tells a very different story across multiple international studies reviewed by the World Health Organization. It is adults, and actually young adults, who consistently emerge as one of the most isolated groups. So in expat hubs like Dubai, where we arrive hopeful, but sometimes leave within a few years, forming deep friendships can feel particularly challenging. And out of that reality came My Friends, Your Friends. It's a community built around simple, agenda-free connection. And its founder, Raj Kotecha, is in the studio. We're unpacking why this problem is growing and what can help us feel less alone. We've had a message for you, Raj, saying, I'm a single parent and I am really lonely, but I haven't got anything to give. I haven't got the energy for a relationship or even getting out to see friends. But at the same time, I'm so lonely. So what's the answer? It's a really cruel irony, isn't it? I think many of us have been there, whether you're a single parent or you're single, or even if you're married. We've said in the show before, sometimes there's nowhere lonelier than an unhappy marriage. But to be able to get yourself out. Have you had people who've come to you saying, I didn't think I could come tonight, but I'm so glad I showed up?
Yeah, I think once we opened our doors after 2020, I had people in tears saying the last time I went out was My Friends, Your Friends. And the first time I've come out since 2020 is My Friends, Your Friends. So look, to the person that sent that message in, I get it. You are heard and seen for sure. This is normal in the sense that loneliness is one of the emotions that we talk about because it's one of the more popular ones. It's something that at some stage in everybody's life, everybody will feel. To this person that messaged in, I will just say, it's very important to remember that it is just a stage, right? There are times when even I have to go overseas for 2-3 nights where I would much rather be with people that I know and love than sat in some hotel room somewhere. So whether that loneliness is a period of 2 or 3 nights, or whether you're going through like a phase of it, which might last 3 months, 3 years, who knows? What I would say, which is brilliant about this person that just messaged in, is that the fact that they are self-aware enough to label it as loneliness and know that in an ideal world, they'd like to be on the other side of it, gives me great hope that they will get on the other side of it. My Friends, Your Friends might be a solution. Following up on that interest might be a solution. I know a lady in this city that has like a pottery school, a clay making school. That's something that you can do solo, but maybe you can see other people and start collaborating and learning from. So it's not all about showing up as like your best self or
No,
another version of it.
I'm a party person here to mingle.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be those incremental, eye contact, hello, meeting someone in the same place again and again. And then I think, it does build your confidence.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any patterns with people that are struggling with connection, whether it is age or life stage, background, profession, time spent in the city, or are you literally attracting anyone and everyone to My Friends, Your Friends?
Yeah, I mean, at My Friends, Your Friends, we've got everybody from high up city officials right through to that amazing dude that wraps your burrito at the Mexican restaurant. It's open to everybody of all ages. And I think what really binds them together is written on the door. It's My Friends, Your Friends. Firstly, my friends, meaning that somebody's invited their friends, whether it's me or the co-hosts. Secondly, there's the immediate commitment, which is if they're my friends, I'm happy for them to be your friends. So there's that kind of almost like pre-qualification.
I think a path of truth is really important.
Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah, and so it's almost like My Friends, Your Friends is effectively almost like mutual friends because, and I think one of the reasons why people behave so incredibly well at my events is because everyone is there because of me or one of the co-hosts. There's almost like an invisible line that you don't cross over in terms of behavior. Everyone's extra nice because it's like, person A came with co-host A and person B came with co-host B. So everyone's one degree of separation.
And there's a reassurance there as well.
For sure.
I want to ask you what's next, Raj. I know there's whispers of I guess I don't want to say a brand extension, but maybe next steps for landing here.
Yeah. So the whispers and the rumors and the leaks online are true. We've launched something called the Landing Club, and now My Friends, Your Friends is 5,000 people in Dubai. We've also done it in New York, Toronto, and London. So we're about 7,000 or 8,000 when you add everybody up. Inside there, you've got everyone from, partners at McKinsey and CEOs of big tech firms, like I said, right through to people that work retail. What we've noticed as I've been going around London right now is that, for the first 10 years of my career, I was like the DJ guy. The next 10 years of my career, I was like the content guy. Now, when I walk around London, people come and ask me about Dubai. So myself and a dear friend of mine, a guy called Suraj Gurkhani, we both have been kind of helping people come here. He's in the currency business. He's got a company called Currencies for You. I've got my businesses. And we both were like, you know what? We do this so often. Why don't we just kind of like pool our resources together? Him in the kind of big corporate high net worth world and me kind of like man and girl on the ground world. And we've created something called the Landing Club. So on Instagram, it's the landing.club, same as the URL. And effectively, it's Dubai's first kind of like relationship agency. So if you're thinking about moving to Dubai, which the whole world is right now because it's the greatest city in the world, you can obviously set up your company through a million different ways. You can kind of get your visa a million different ways. You can buy property a million different ways. But who do you need to know in the city? And that can typically be a 1-year journey, right? If you reach out to us and say, hey, listen, these are the kind of people, the industries I want to connect with, we can kind of help you fast track your success in Dubai by connecting you to our network. It's still in the early stages, but it's started off really, really well.
I'm really, really happy that you're in the studio. We barely scratched the surface of the many amazing connections that people have made through My Friends, Your Friends. So we should give a special mention to a marriage that you've actually had.
Yeah.
And we should say this isn't about business development or networking or dating, but that's a pretty nice byproduct of a night at Media One Hotel, isn't it?
Listen, I tell you, like that is irony coming to slap me in the face. The one thing I've said effectively at every event is, this is not about dating, this is not about biz dev. And then randomly, I was at Neighborhood Food Hall in Motor City, and this couple came over and said, hey, you kind of recognize people from just like moving around, but I don't know everybody by name, obviously. And they came over, they said, hey, I said, I'm sure we know each other through My Friends, Your Friends. He said, yeah, that's where we met. And I was like, oh, that's where we met. And they were like, no, that's where we met, the couple. And I was like, oh, great. And they were like, we just got married last week. I'm like, you guys met at My Friends, Your Friends and got married. And I literally turned around to like my cousin Vic and I was like, yo, what is going on? And it's like, whilst we say, it's not about dating, it's not about biz dev, it's not about these things, naturally you've got a room full of, ambitious, and let's be honest, there's quite a few beautiful, well-kept people in the city as well.
Doesn't hurt.
The human chemistry and the human actions will happen. Maybe at My Friends, Your Friends 21, this Wednesday at Media One Hotel, I will actually retire me saying that on the mic and never say it again because I can't control what happens.
Well, I just want to say to come back to your point about what you give to the city versus what we take from the city. What a beautiful contribution. And if you have the impact on one friendship, one relationship, one connection, that ripple effect is just so, so powerful. And I think that's not just you, but I think that's something that everyone listening has the power to have and to contribute. And sometimes it's formal, sometimes it's an event, Or sometimes it's just cheering up someone's day in the elevator by saying good morning. So
Yeah.
if anyone wants to send me the word friend to 4001, I'm inviting you as my friend tomorrow night. What should I wear? Like, is it formal? I'm not that I'm there to like pick up anyone, but you know what I mean? Like, what's the vibe?
Coming from the person that's typically dressed the scruffiest at every single event,
Okay, just quickly,
right?
for anyone that can't see me, I'm currently wearing jeans, a jumper that my mum gave me, and a pair of trainers.
Yeah.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. I mean, in the video on myfriendsyourfriends.com, you'll literally see me in a hoodie and a cap.
Cool.
So I think recently I've started to dress my age a little bit more. You know, mid-40s, I dress a bit better. But honestly, show up how you are. Like, it's all good.
Be authentic.
Completely.
Amazing. Raj, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow night.
My pleasure.
6 o'clock, right?
And thank you for supporting and being a co-host.
No, it's going to be interesting. And if anyone is coming, please give me a smile. I might be feeling a bit shy. Friends to 4001. I'll send you the link. As we said, first drink is on Raj.
Dubai Eye 103.8's weather check.